Hey everyone, welcome back to the podcast. If you're new here, hi, I'm Sia, and today's episode is basically a mix between a love letter and a very honest reality check about my first year at Arizona State University. The main theme today is one word: balance. Balance between school and friends, balance between mental health and hustle, balance between calling home because you miss everyone and also trying to prove yourself that you've got this. If you're about to start college or you're in your first year right now feeling like you're barely keeping it together, this episode is for you. So let me set the scene. I came to ASU with this super aesthetic Pinterest version of what college was going to look like. You know, color-coded notes, an iced chai in one hand, perfect social life in the other, and somehow a 4.0 GPA just happening effortlessly in the background. Spoiler alert, that is not how it works. The first few weeks were such a weird mix of, wow, I'm actually independent, and wow, I genuinely have no idea what I'm doing. One day, I'd feel on top of everything, and the next I'd be sitting on my bed at midnight, eating cereal straight out of the box, staring at canvas like it personally offended me. And here's the thing, that emotional roller coaster isn't just me being dramatic. There was actually a national health survey that found about 30% of college students that anxiety directly messes with their academic performance, and more than 75% of students aren't even getting a full 8 hours of sleep during the week. So when you feel exhausted, stressed, and behind all the time, that's not just a you problem. It's kind of a default setting of college unless you really work against it. Academics and time, where balance hits first. Let's talk about academics, because that's honestly where I felt the imbalance hit the hardest. In high school, you can kind of coast sometimes. Teachers remind you about everything, your parents are usually on your ass, and there's a lot more structure. In college, professors do not chase you down. Deadlines sneak up on you fast if you're not paying attention. Very early on, I learned that "I'll do it later" is the most expensive sentence you can say in college. There's actually research that shows students who feel more in control of their time tend to have higher GPAs. And honestly, that checks out with my experience. When I actually planned my week, my stress dropped instantly. That doesn't mean you have to be perfectly organized, but it does mean your calendar kind of becomes your survival tool. For me, academic balance looked like actually reading the syllabus instead of pretending I did. It meant blocking out real study time in the week instead of saying, I'll get to it on Sunday night. And it meant being honest with myself about how long assignments actually take instead of lying to myself and saying, this will only take like 20 minutes. Once I started planning, I noticed my stress went down. And that makes sense. When everything is last minute, your brain is just like kind of in full panic mode instead of learning mode. But balance isn't just about school. That's actually where a lot of us mess up. Hustle culture versus being a human. There's this weird pressure in college to always be grinding. Like if you're not studying, working, networking, and joining 5 clubs at the same time, or even trying. At the same time, almost 3 out of 4 college students say school feels overwhelming. So clearly, the nonstop grind mindset is not working. Most of us are just doing too much. I really felt that my first year. There are weeks where I try to be the ultimate yes person. Yes to late night food runs. Yes to every event. Yes to every single party. Yes to every single shift for work. Yes to every group project meeting. And then suddenly I was saying no to sleep, no to real meals, no to quiet time, no to me time, and no to having a moment to really breathe. That's when I started to realize that balance is really about boundaries. For me, that looked like making a rule that I do not start brand new homework after a certain time at night. If it's 11:30 p.m., I'm not starting an essay. Half awake work takes twice as long anyways. It also meant being the person who says, I can't go out tonight. I really need to rest and catch up. And sometimes balance literally just meant letting myself have fun without feeling guilty for not being productive every single second. There's even an Arizona college success guide that says balance should include downtime, social life, and self-care, not just productivity. That honestly changed how I think about success. Balance is not about doing more, it's about protecting your energy. Mental health, the part we don't post. Let's talk about mental health, because you really cannot talk about balance in college without going there. College looks so fun on Instagram. What we really don't see are the nights people cry in the shower, the panic attacks before exams, or that quiet, heavy feeling of, am I even supposed to be here? One national survey found that almost 3 out of 4 college students felt overwhelmed, and nearly half of them have been diagnosed with anxiety or depression. So if you're ever feeling If you've ever thought, why am I the only one struggling? I promise you're not. A lot of us are just really good at hiding it. For me, mental health balance meant admitting that I wasn't okay instead of just saying I'm fine and moving on. It meant actually using campus resources instead of pretending I had everything figured out on my own. That include counseling, tutoring, office hours, and just being able to say, hey, I really need help. It also meant treating sleep, food, and movement like non-negotiables, not optional extras that I can cancel whenever school got busy. One thing I really wish someone told me earlier is that asking for help does not mean you're failing at adulthood. It actually means you're doing all right. The social side of balance. Now, let's talk about the social side of balance, because this is where college can be really, really fun, but also so chaotic. When I started ASU, I honestly thought I would instantly find my people. Like, orientation would happen, I would meet my future best friends in 5 minutes, my future bridesmaids, and boom, friend group secured. Reality was awkward small talk, random group meet chats, and that never really stopped going off. And trying out clubs where I wasn't even sure if I would fit in yet. Social balance for me looked like being open enough to say yes to new things, but also being self-aware enough to realize I don't have to be everywhere with everyone. Some nights, balance was going to a game, a hall event, or hanging out in the lounge. Other nights, it was staying in, doing a face mask, cleaning my room, or watching Netflix with my roommate because I didn't have the energy to talk to literally anyone. If you're listening and you're worried because you haven't found your core group yet, please give yourself some time. People come in chapters. The people you hang out with in week 2 might not even be the people you're closest to by the end of the year, and that is completely normal. How to actually build balance. So, how do you actually build balance instead of just reposting Pinterest quotes about it? Here are a few things that really, really helped me. First is what I call a Sunday reset. Every Sunday, I sit down and map out my week: classes, work, study time, social plans, and most importantly, rest. If I don't schedule downtime on purpose, I automatically fill it with something else and then wonder why I'm exhausted by Thursday. Second is 2 out of the 3 rule. Every day, I try to hit at least 2 of the 3 things. I do something for school, do something for my relationships, and do something for my health. Some days I hit all 3, but even hitting 2 keeps me from completely neglecting one area of my life. Third is micro check-ins. I'll literally ask myself, how am I feeling physically, mentally, and socially? If I realize I haven't talked to anyone outside of class in days, or I'm running on 5 hours of sleep, that's my sign that something is off and I really need things to get adjusted. And finally, using ASU's resources. College pushes things like counseling, tutoring, coaching, and success programs for a reason. There are things there so we don't have to figure everything out alone. Using them is a part of building balance, not a sign of failure. Wrapping things up, if I had to sum up my first year at ASU in one sentence, it would be this: college is not about doing everything. It is about learning what is worth doing and making space for it. Balance does not mean your life is perfectly divided into neat little boxes. It really means you're paying attention. You notice when you're leaning too far into academics and forgetting your mental health. And you really notice when you're socializing nonstop and ghosting your responsibilities. And when you finally pull gently, and then you gently pull yourself back to the center. So if you're heading into your first year, or you're in the middle of it right now feeling like chaos is winning, here's what I want you to remember. You're allowed to rest, you're allowed to ask for help, you're allowed to say no, even to fun things, and you're allowed to enjoy the season without being perfect at it. Because balance, especially in college, is not something you magically wake up with. It is something you practice, one small decision at a time. Thank you so much for hanging out with me for this episode. If it helped you feel a little bit less alone in this madness of college, send it to a friend who needs to hear it too. I'm Sia, and this was my first year at ASU, and I'll talk to you next time. Bye!